the champagne flute shattered against Italian marble. Crystal fragments catching the Mediterranean sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Bella Nightingale didn't flinch as the expensive pieces scattered around her bare feet. She had bigger problems than cleaning up after Jasper Rothschild's tantrums. "You destroyed my car." His voice carried the ice of a man accustomed to owning everything he touched. At 34, Jasper commanded respect through fear and fortune. His steel-blue eyes, capable of freezing souls. Today, they blazed with something more dangerous than anger. Bella tilted her chin up, meeting his gaze without wavering. "Your security was pathetic. I did you a favor." The penthouse suite overlooking Monaco's Grand Prix circuit felt suffocating despite its grandeur. Mahogany panels gleamed under crystal chandeliers, while Persian rugs worth more than most people's homes cushioned their confrontation. Through the windows, smoke still rose from the wreckage of the $50 million Formula One car she'd stolen and crashed during yesterday's practice session. A favor. Jasper stepped closer, his perfectly tailored suit emphasizing broad shoulders. "And predatory grace. You turned my championship vehicle into scrap metal. I exposed your weaknesses." Bella's heart hammered against her ribs, but she held her ground. "The FIA paid me to test circuit security. Your team failed spectacularly." She pulled the authorization documents from her leather portfolio, watching his face darken as he read. The silence stretched taut as piano wire before he crumpled the papers in his fist. "This doesn't change what you did to my mother." The words hung between them like a blade. Victoria Nightingale, former F1 hopeful turned brilliant automotive engineer, had applied to Rothschild Racing 5 years ago. Jasper had humiliated her on live television, declaring that women belonged in kitchens, not cockpits, and that the day a woman beat him on track was the day he'd eat his racing helmet. Victoria had cried. The internet had exploded. Bella had plotted. Your mother was unqualified. Jasper's voice cut like glass. My mother designed half the innovations your team uses today. Bella stepped forward, close enough to smell his expensive cologne. She revolutionized aerodynamics while you were buying championships with Daddy's money. Something flickered across Jasper's face. Surprise? Respect? It vanished before she could identify it. What do you want, Miss Nightingale? Bella smiled, the expression sharp enough to draw blood. A race. You and me. Winner takes all. I don't race amateurs. Then you should be confident. She moved to the window, gazing down at the circuit where emergency crews still worked. Unless you're afraid a woman might actually beat you, Jasper laughed, the sound hollow. You have 30 seconds to explain before security escorts you out. Own 35% of Rothschild Racing as of this morning. Bella turned back. To him, savoring his shock, Marcel Dubois decided he wanted revenge for how you destroyed his reputation. He sold me his shares at a very reasonable price. The color drained from Jasper's face. Marcel, the French investor he'd crushed 3 years ago, driving the man to bankruptcy and exile from the racing world. That's impossible. MIT graduate, remember? I minored in corporate finance. Bella pulled out her phone, showing him the transfer documents. Cryptocurrency made me very wealthy. Betting against your stock made me richer. Jasper sank into his leather chair, the first crack in his armor of arrogance. What are your terms? 1 race. If you win, I sell my shares back for exactly what I paid. $1. Now I disappear from your life forever. And if you win? Bella's smile could have powered the entire Monaco grid. You publicly apologize to my mother and every woman you've humiliated. You establish a foundation supporting women in motorsport. She paused, letting the moment build. And you eat your racing helmet on live television, just like you promised. Proposal hung in the air between them, heavy with possibility and peril. Outside, the Mediterranean glittered like scattered diamonds, different to the war being declared in the penthouse above. Jasper stood slowly, his movements predatory and precise. When he extended his hand, Bella felt electricity shoot through her fingers as they touched. 1 race, he agreed, his grip firm and warm. But when I win, I want something more than your shares. What? His smile was dangerous. Shh. The underground garage beneath Rothschild Tower hummed with mechanical precision. Bella ran her fingers along the sleek carbon fiber of the Formula One car that would determine her fate. Its midnight blue paint job reflecting the harsh fluorescent lights. The machine was a work of art and engineering worth more than most people's homes. Second thoughts? Jasper's voice carried from behind her, smooth as aged whiskey. She didn't turn around, just appreciating the craftsmanship. My mother's aerodynamic modifications are beautiful. His footsteps echoed on polished concrete as he approached. You're serious about this race? Dead serious? Bella finally faced him, noting how his casual clothes made him look younger, almost approachable. Almost. Though I notice you've been avoiding the media all week. I don't need to justify my decisions to reporters. Maybe you're starting to realize what you've gotten yourself into. She moved to the second car, identical except for its crimson paint scheme. Your team spent 3 days trying to find flaws in my credentials. Found anything interesting? Jasper's jaw tightened. Your racing record is impressive for an amateur. 5 years of underground circuit racing, 6 championship wins. 7, you missed the Tokyo Grand Circuit. Bella pulled on her racing gloves, flexing her fingers. Your investigators aren't as thorough as you think. The garage doors opened with a mechanical groan, revealing the private test track Jasper had built on his estate. 2 miles of perfectly maintained asphalt wound through olive groves and Mediterranean landscape, complete with elevation, changes, and technical corners that would challenge any driver. This isn't Monaco, Jasper said. Settling into his cockpit, no crowds, no cameras, just you, me, and the truth. Bella lowered herself into her car, the seat molding to her body like a second skin. The steering wheel felt alive in her hands, every button and switch exactly where her muscle memory expected. The truth is that you're about to lose to the daughter of a woman you humiliated. Their engines fired simultaneously, the sound raw and primal. Twin beasts awakening, hungry for speed and victory. The race began without ceremony. No starting lights, no flag. Just Jasper's voice over the radio. Now, Bella's car leaped forward like a caged animal freed. The first turn approached at terrifying speed, and she held her line while Jasper tried to intimidate her into backing down. She didn't. Their wheels came within inches of touching as they navigated the chicane, neither giving ground. Impressive, Jasper's voice crackled through her headset. The track gets more interesting. He was right. The sweeping curves through the olive groves demanded perfect precision, while the elevation changes tested both car setup and driver. Bella found herself matching Jasper's pace, then slowly, impossibly, pulling ahead. How? Jasper's radio message carried genuine confusion. I studied your driving style for 5 years, Bella replied, throwing her car into a turn that physics suggested was impossible. Every race, every practice session, I know how you think. But Jasper wasn't done. On the back straight, his car's superior top speed began to tell. He pulled alongside her, and Bella caught a glimpse of his profile through his helmet visor. Focused, determined, and something else she couldn't identify. The final sector would decide everything. A series of tight corners that rewarded finesse over raw power. Bella's smaller hands gave her an advantage here, allowing for quicker steering inputs and more precise car control. She took the lead with 2 corners remaining. Then her engine coughed. The sound was subtle, almost lost in the symphony of mechanical noise, but Bella felt it in her bones. Something was wrong. The car's power output dropped just enough to make the difference. Jasper swept past her in the final turn, crossing the finish line 0.3 of a second ahead. Bella coasted 2A. Stop, her hands shaking as she pulled off her helmet. Through the silence of her cooling engine, she heard Jasper's car approaching. He stopped beside her and climbed out, his face unreadable. Good race, he said simply. Bella nodded, unable to trust her voice. She'd lost everything she'd worked for, planned for, sacrificed for, had come down to a mechanical failure in the final moments. There's something you should know, Jasper continued, his tone careful. I had your engine sabotaged. The words hit her like a physical blow. What? Small modification to reduce power output by exactly 5%? Enough to make the difference? Not enough to be obvious? He studied her face, watching for her reaction. I don't like to lose. Rage flooded through Bella's system, hot and overwhelming. She launched herself at him, fists raised, but he caught her wrists easily. His grip was gentle, but unbreakable. I could have you arrested, she spat. You could try. Jasper's voice was maddeningly calm, but you'd have to prove it, and my mechanics are very loyal. You bastard. You complete and total bastard. Yes, he agreed. I am. But I'm also a man who keeps his word. You agreed to the terms. You lost. That means you're mine. Bella stared at him, her chest heaving with fury and something else she refused to acknowledge. This isn't over. Jasper released her wrists, but didn't step back. No, he said quietly. I don't think it is. The contract Jasper placed before Bella read like something from another century. Ornate letterhead, legal language that twisted meaning into knots. In terms that made her stomach clench with equal parts fear and something she refused to name. Personal. Assistant and companion, she read aloud, her voice carefully neutral, available at all times for business and social functions, living arrangements to be determined by employer. She looked up at him across the mahogany desk. This is slavery. This is employment. Jasper leaned back in his leather chair, fingers steepled. Very well compensated employment. Look at the salary figure. Bella's eyes widened despite herself. The number had more zeros than she'd expected. Blood money. Victory spoils. He stood and moved to the window overlooking Monaco's harbor, where his yacht sat among other obscene displays of wealth. You lost fair and square? You cheated? I won. He turned back to her, his steel blue eyes unreadable. Sign the contract, Bella. 1 year of your life, and afterward you'll be wealthy enough to start your own racing team. You could make your in. Mother's dreams come true. The mention of Victoria hit its target. Bella's hand trembled slightly as she picked up the platinum pen. Everything she'd done had been for her mother, to restore the dignity Jasper had stolen from her 5 years ago. There's one modification I want, she said. Jasper raised an eyebrow. You're not in a position to negotiate. 3 months instead of 12. And I want it in writing that you'll publicly acknowledge my mother's contributions to your teams. Success? Absolutely not. Bella set down the pen and stood. Then I guess you'll have to explain to your board of directors why your minority shareholder is calling for a public meeting next week. Wonder what they'll think about your gambling habits or that offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Jasper's face went white. How did you learn about that? I told you. I studied you for 5 years. Every aspect of your life, your business, your secrets. Bella's smile was sharp as broken glass. So, do we have a deal? The silence stretched between them like a bridge neither wanted to cross. Finally, Jasper picked up his own pen and scratched out the 12-month term, writing 3 months above it in bold strokes. Victoria Nightingale's contributions will be acknowledged at the next team press conference, he said through gritted teeth. Bella signed her name with a flourish, sealing her fate. Her new living arrangements turned out to be the penthouse guest. Suite, a space larger than most apartments with its own private terrace overlooking the Mediterranean. The view was breathtaking, the accommodations luxurious, and the isolation complete.
Oh.
You'll attend all my social functions, Jasper explained. As she unpacked her single suitcase, charity, galas, business dinners, race events. You're to be charming, intelligent, and supportive. Can you manage that? I can manage not to embarrass you in public, Bella replied coolly. What I can't manage is pretending to like you. Need you to like me. I need you to belong to me. The words hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. Bella felt heat rise in her cheeks and turned away to hide her reaction. The first test came that evening at a charity auction for children's hospitals. Bella wore a black evening gown that Jasper had selected, the silk clinging to her curves, in ways that made her self-conscious. His hand rested possessively on the small of her back as they moved through the crowd of Monaco's elite. Jasper, darling, purred a blonde woman who looked like she'd stepped off a magazine cover. Who's your lovely companion? Isabella Nightingale? Jasper replied smoothly. My personal assistant? The woman's smile turned predatory. How wonderful. And what exactly do you assist him with, Isabella? Bella felt Jasper's hand tighten on her back, a warning. Whatever he needs, she replied with a sweet smile that didn't reach her eyes. The evening continued in similar fashion. A parade of beautiful, vapid people who treated Bella like an expensive accessory. She played her part perfectly, laughing at unfunny jokes and smiling until her face ached. You did well tonight, Jasper said as they returned to the penthouse. He'd loosened his bow tie, making him look younger and almost approachable. I earned my pay, Bella replied, kicking off her heels with relief. Did you enjoy it? The question caught her off guard. The auction, the people, the atmosphere. Jasper poured himself a whiskey from the crystal decanter on his bar. Did any part of it appeal to you? Bella considered lying, then decided on honesty. The charity was worthwhile. The rest was theatrical nonsense, designed to make rich people feel better about their excess. Jasper's laugh was genuine, the first real emotion she'd seen from him all evening. You're not wrong. Sometimes I forget what it's like to see through their facades. Then why participate? Because it's expected. Because my presence raises more money for those children than my honesty ever could. He met her eyes over his glass. We all wear masks, Bella. The question is whether we remember who we are beneath them. For a moment, something shifted between them. Antagonism remained, but underneath it, Bella sensed vulnerability, a loneliness that all his wealth and power couldn't touch. Then Jasper's phone buzzed, shattering the moment. His expression hardened as he read the message. What is it? Bella asked. Victoria. He looked up at her, and she saw something that might have been regret flicker across his features. Your mother. She's been in an accident. The private jet's engines screamed through the night as they raced toward London. Bella sat rigid in the leather seat, her hands clenched so tightly her knuckles had gone white. Through the small window, city lights blurred past like fallen stars. Shh. Stable, Jasper said, for the third time, his voice carefully controlled. The doctor said she's stable. Bella didn't respond. Victoria Nightingale, brilliant engineer and devoted mother, lay in a hospital bed because she'd been working late. On a project that should have been someone else's responsibility, should have been Bella's responsibility, if she hadn't been playing dress-up at charity auctions. It wasn't your fault, Jasper continued, as if reading her thoughts. Wasn't it? Bella finally looked at him, her green eyes blazing with pain and fury. She was working 16-hour days to support herself because you destroyed her career, because I've been trapped in your game instead of taking care of her. The accident was mechanical failure. Her car skidded off the M25 in the rain. Her car is 15 years old because she can't afford better, because you made sure no one in the industry would hire her after that press conference. Bella's voice cracked, revealing the anguish beneath her anger. Everything comes back to you. Jasper fell silent, his jaw working as if he wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. When they landed at Heathrow, he surprised her by climbing into the back of the limousine beside her instead of taking the front passenger seat. I'll wait in the car, he said as they pulled up to the hospital. No. Bella's voice was steady now, deadly calm. You're coming with me? You're going to see what your cruelty cost. The intensive care unit smelled of antiseptic and despair. Victoria lay surrounded by machines that beeped and hummed, keeping vigil over her unconscious form. Her dark hair, so similar to Bella's, was matted with blood despite the nurse's efforts to clean it. Purple bruises decorated her face like grotesque makeup. Bella sank into the chair beside the bed and took her mother's hand. I'm here, Mom. I'm so sorry I wasn't here sooner. From the doorway, Jasper watched in silence. His usual composure had cracked, revealing something raw underneath. When the doctor arrived with updates about Victoria's condition, Jasper stepped forward. Dr. Morrison, I'm Jasper Rothschild. I'll be handling all of Ms. Nightingale's medical expenses. Whatever she needs, spare no cost. The doctor's eyes widened with recognition. Mr. Rothschild, that's very generous, but no buts. Private room, best specialists, experimental treatments if necessary. She gets everything. Jasper's voice brooked no argument. Bella stared at him, confusion mixing with her grief. Why? Because it's the right thing to do, he said simply. Over. The next 3 days, Jasper proved true to his word. Victoria was moved to the hospital's finest private suite, attended by a team of specialists who normally treated royalty. She remained unconscious. But her condition stabilized and slowly improved. Bella never left her mother's side. Surviving on vending machine coffee and whatever food Jasper's assistant brought from expensive restaurants, she was dimly aware that Jasper came and went, making phone calls in the hallway, speaking quietly with doctors. But she couldn't focus on anything beyond the steady rhythm of her mother's breathing. On the 4th morning, Victoria's eyes fluttered open. "Bella?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "I'm here, Mom." Tears streamed down Bella's face as she squeezed her mother's hand. "You're going to be okay." Victoria's gaze moved past her daughter to where Jasper stood in the doorway. Her expression hardened despite her weakness. "You," she said, her voice gaining strength. "What are you doing here?" Jasper approached the bed slowly, his usual arrogance replaced by something Bella had never seen before. Humility. His Nightingale. "Victoria, I owe you an apology. That's 5 years overdue." Victoria tried to sit up, wincing in pain. "Get out. I don't want to hear anything you have to say." "Mom, please," Bella intervened. "Let him speak." "What I did to you was unforgivable," Jasper continued, his voice steady but weighted with regret. "I humiliated you publicly because I was threatened by your intelligence, your innovations, your talent. You were everything I pretended to be, and I couldn't stand it." Victoria's eyes never left his face. "So you destroyed my career out of jealousy?" "Yes. And I've regretted it every day since." Jasper moved closer to the bed, close enough that Victoria could see the sincerity in his eyes. "You're aerodynamic. Designs revolutionize Formula One. My cars have won championships because of your innovations. And I never gave you credit. You stole my work. I did. And I want to make it right." Jasper pulled out his phone and showed Victoria a prepared press release. "This goes out in 1 hour. Full attribution for your contributions to Rothschild Racing. Public apology and announcement of the Victoria Nightingale Foundation for Women in Motorsport. $50 million in funding." Victoria read the statement twice, her expression unreadable. Finally, she looked up at him. "Why now?" Jasper glanced at Bella, then back to Victoria. "Because your daughter taught me something about honor, about what it means to fight for the people you love." The room fell silent except for the steady beeping of medical equipment. Victoria studied Jasper's face for a long moment, searching for deception and finding none. "You hurt me," she said finally. "Deeply, I know. But you also just saved my life. You're trying to restore my reputation." Victoria's voice grew stronger. "Can't forgive you completely. Not yet. But I can accept your apology." Jasper nodded, relief evident in his posture. "That's more than I deserve." "Yes." As he turned to leave, Victoria called out to him. "Jasper, take care of my daughter. She's more precious than any championship." "I know," he replied without turning around. "I'm beginning to understand just how precious." After he left, Victoria looked at her daughter with knowing eyes. "You're in love with him?" "I hate him," Bella protested, but the words lacked conviction. "You can hate someone and love them at the same time," Victoria said gently. "The question is, which feeling is stronger?" Bella had no answer for that. Outside the hospital window, London spread out like a tapestry of light and shadow, beautiful and complex, and impossible to understand from any single perspective. It's much like the man who had just walked out of their lives, perhaps forever. 3 weeks later, Bella stood in the Monaco paddock wearing the midnight blue racing suit of Rothschild Racing. The familiar weight of her helmet tucked under her arm felt like coming home, even as her heart hammered against her ribs. Round. The circus of Formula One reached fever pitch with practice sessions, media interviews, and the constant hum of perfectly tuned engines. "You don't have to do this," Jasper said, approaching her between the team transporters. He looked different somehow, the sharp edges of his arrogance worn smooth by recent events. The press conference was enough. "Your mother's reputation is restored. This isn't about my mother anymore." Bella met his gaze steadily. This is about finishing what we started. The past weeks had transformed everything. Jasper's public apology had made international headlines, but it was his private actions that spoke louder. He'd personally called every team principal in Formula One, recommending Victoria for positions she was overqualified for. He'd visited her in the hospital daily, bringing books about engineering innovations and engaging her in technical discussions. That lit up her face with joy. More surprisingly, he'd honored their original contract dispute by offering Bella a genuine racing seat with Rothschild Racing. Not as punishment or spectacle, but as recognition of her talent. "The media will crucify you if you crash," Jasper warned. "They're calling this a publicity stunt. Let them." Bella pulled on her helmet, the familiar ritual centering her thoughts. "I didn't spend 5 years preparing for this moment to back down because of reporters. And if you beat me," she paused, considering the question that had haunted her sleep, "then we're even. No more games, no more contracts, no more pretending we're anything other than what we are." Which is... Bella looked at him through her visor, memorizing the concern in his steel blue eyes. "I guess we'll find out." The formation lap felt like a dream. 22 of the world's most sophisticated racing machines circling the Monaco circuit. In perfect formation, their engines singing in harmony. Bella's car responded to every input like an extension of her will. But she could feel Jasper's presence in the red car beside her, its attention focused entirely on her. When the race lights went out, muscle memory took over. Bella launched off, the line perfectly, holding her position through the first turn, while chaos erupted behind them. Monaco's narrow streets demanded absolute precision, leaving no room for error or hesitation. For the first 30 laps, she and Jasper danced together. At the front of the field, he would make a move, she would counter. She would find an impossible line through a corner. He would match it perfectly. The television commentators called it poetry in motion. Two drivers so evenly matched that fractions of seconds separated them, but gradually, inevitably, Bella began to pull away. Her car was identical to Jasper's in every measurable way, but something intangible gave her the edge. Perhaps it was hunger, or perhaps it was the knowledge that this race would define the rest of her life. Whatever the source, she found speed that physics shouldn't have allowed. With 10 laps remaining, she led by 12 seconds. "Bella." Jasper's voice crackled through her radio, the first communication between them since the race began. "Your left rear tire is going off. Temperature's climbing." Bella glanced at her dashboard and saw he was right. The tire degradation would cost her several seconds per lap. She had a choice: push the damaged tire and risk a catastrophic failure, or manage the pace and likely lose the race. "I know," she replied simply. "Come into the pits. Fresh tires will give you a chance and give you the lead." Yes. For a moment the radio went silent, except for the howl of wind and engine noise. Then Jasper spoke again, his voice carrying an emotion she'd never heard from him before. "Bella, come in, please. I can't watch you get hurt again." The vulnerability in his words hit her harder than any physical blow. This was the man who'd sabotaged her engine, who'd forced her into servitude, who'd humiliated her mother. Was also the man who'd sat by Victoria's hospital bed reading engineering journals aloud, who'd used his influence to restore their family's honor, who was now begging her to prioritize safety over victory. "I'm not coming in," she said. "You're an idiot." Despite everything, Bella smiled inside her helmet. "I'm your idiot." The final 5 laps were a masterclass in precision driving. Bella nursed her dying tire through Monaco's unforgiving corners, finding lines that maximized grip while minimizing stress on the failing rubber. Behind her, Jasper closed the gap with every turn, his fresher tires giving him a crucial advantage going into the final corner. He was right behind her. They swept through the harbor chicane side by side, neither giving ground, their wheels separated by inches. The finish line rushed toward them at nearly 200 miles per hour. Both cars straining against the limits of physics and sanity. Bella crossed first by half a car length. The victory felt different than she'd imagined. No overwhelming joy. No sense of vindication. just a quiet satisfaction that she'd proven something to herself, if not to the world. As she climbed from her car in Park Firm, Jasper was waiting. He'd removed his helmet, revealing hair damp with sweat and eyes that held a mixture of pride and something deeper. "Hell of a drive," he said. "You let me win. Did I?" Jasper stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his racing suits, synthetic fabric, and the lingering scent of high-octane fuel. "Or did you finally stop holding back?" Before Bella could answer, he cupped her face in his hands and kissed her. Not the aggressive, possessive kiss she might have expected, but something gentler. An apology, a promise, and a question all wrapped into one moment of perfect honesty. When they broke apart, the Monaco paddock had gone silent around them. Cameras flashed like falling stars, capturing the moment for history. "I love you," Jasper said simply. "I've been fighting it for months. But I love your intelligence, your courage, your refusal to back down from anything. I love that you're strong enough to forgive me and stubborn enough to make me earn it." Bella looked into his eyes, seeing past the arrogance and wealth to the man underneath. Flawed, struggling, but genuinely trying to be better than he was. "I love you too," she admitted. "Even though you're an arrogant, manipulative, impossibly frustrating human being. Is that a yes?" "To what?" Jasper dropped to one knee right there on the racing grid, producing a ring that caught the Mediterranean sunlight like captured fire. Around them, the Formula One paddock erupted in chaos as photographers and reporters surged forward. "Marry me, Bella Nightingale. Not because you lost a bet or signed a contract, but because I can't imagine a life without you challenging me, inspiring me, and occasionally stealing my cars." Bella laughed, a sound of pure joy that carried over the noise of the crowd. "If you promise to let me win sometimes," never Jasper grinned, "but I'll make sure you earn every victory." She pulled off her racing gloves and extended her left hand. "Then yes, you impossible man. Yes." As the ring slid onto her finger, Bella thought about the journey that had brought them here. The hatred, the manipulation, the gradual understanding that sometimes the person who challenges you most is the one who understands you best. In the distance, Monaco's harbor glittered like scattered diamonds, eternal and beautiful. Tomorrow would bring new races, new challenges, new opportunities to prove themselves worthy of the speed and the glory. But for now, in this moment, they had something more valuable than any championship. They had each other. Asterisk the end. Asterisk asterisk like this. Video if the story touched your heart. Subscribe for more emotional tales. And share with someone who believes in the power of true love. And let us know in the comments.